or it's been a while since I actually watched a video. This one I'm gonna do by life about who really pays the most taxes and yeah. But before I begin, I'm just gonna say my thing, which is generally the wealthy do. Generally they will, because there's people in sports, there's people basically, like, I'll say the poor wealthy people pay the most. The poor wealthy people are what I consider athletes, musicians, like pretty much all these things most of the time. Like, they're owned by a company which is throwing around even more money, cuz like yeah, it's nice you earn 20 million dollars a year, but the multi-trillion dollar company above your head that makes all the decisions for you is the real one making the money. But my guess is simply going to be, if you can take advantage of the tax code and you're rich and you know how to use it well, you're going to pay very little taxes. But then, based off of like tax deductions, tax credits, and all that bullshit, a lot of the poor people, especially on the really like poor end, are probably going to pay less taxes than they get back from the government in terms of programs and stuff.
Name is Sherman, a CPA here at Life
Yep.
Accounting, where we help you save on taxes and increase your wealth. You know, sometimes
Yep.
we get comments on our channel like the rich don't pay any taxes or that the
Yeah, these things are generally misleading because there are cases of it, but the thing is, usually the people who do it are the ones smart enough to get away with it. And you're assuming all rich people are smart, which, let's be honest, let's be honest, every tax bracket has dumbasses, no matter where they are. But yeah.
working class needs to pay their fair share of taxes and so on. So today I want
I never liked that word, fair share. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Because like Jeff Bezos, like he could make a factory giving 40,000 people a job, and like build it less than a year. Whereas like Joe Smo that works at Dollar Tree, a cash register, he wants his fair share, but he can't give 40,000 jobs like Jeff Bezos can. It's just one of those things where like, because some people, when they say fair share, what they basically mean is just, hey, I want your money, I want all your money, and they have no logistical reasoning behind wanting it, other than they just do want it. Because it's kind of like you're taking the people at the top, who usually I would say are job builders, company makers, wealth builders, and you're chaining them down to basically bring all the people at the bottom up. And there is a delicate balance between it being too much to bear versus too little. Where if you do it too much, you're gonna make the people at the top feel like none of their work is worth it. Therefore, they can just move countries or just become lazy, and then you lose your jobs. But if you make them pay too little, poor people are obviously, let's be honest, they're not gonna get anything in exchange. So it has to be at a point where it helps poor people just enough to help them, but not make them dependent on the government. That's my idea. And then the rich people, it gives them enough of their money to keep incentivizing them to build businesses and work harder, rather than chain them down and make them want to be unproductive.
to take a moment to tackle this big question. Who really pays the most
Wants to.
taxes in our country? Is it the middle class, lowest income
Nope.
individuals, or
Definitely not lowest income. You guys get more than you put into the system. Ain't no way. But it's definitely gonna be the rich people, rich people followed by the middle class.
is it the ultra rich? Go
Yep.
ahead and comment below and let me know what you're thinking. Today, we're going to put this topic to rest
Ooh.
and look through some of the hard data and facts to arrive at an answer here. So go ahead and sit back, relax, and subscribe to our channel if you want to learn more about taxes and building wealth.
Yep.
All right, so when it comes to taxes, the first thing you need to know is that there are many different types of taxes.
Okay, let me guess. Income tax, social security tax, what Medicaid tax, whatchamacallit, state tax, sales tax, um, what was that thing called? I forgot the one what that was called, but there's one tax that when you die you get taxed. I forgot the exact name of it. Then there's capital gains tax, there's business tax, there's shoot, man. What was the other one? What was the one where you sell? Oh yeah, property tax. There's that one. Yeah, that's all I can think of right now.
There are individual taxes,
Yep.
Social Security and Medicare taxes, consumption taxes like the sales tax you pay when you buy something, property taxes, and much more. And as you
Mm-hmm.
can see here, individual taxes make up almost half of all of the revenue the government collects
Yep.
in taxes. And because individual taxes are the most significant tax revenue source for the United States, we are going to take a look at this first. So here is a table that shows individual income tax brackets. As you can
Yep.
see here, individual
Oh, and let me say this for there's probably a few people who don't understand this, but when it says this, it doesn't literally mean like everything you earn is taxed at this amount. So, for example, like if you make lower than this, usually you don't pay taxes, but when you make this, well, well, I think it was like 7,000 exactly or lower. But when you get to this, what happens is this money is taxed at 10%. But then when you get here, what's happening in this bracket specifically is that this amount of money is still taxed at 10%, but every other dollar you make on top of that is then taxed at 12%. So above this number is you're being taxed here. And then the same thing for this one. You're at 22%. You're being taxed any number above here. Oh, that's what it means. It just means that this number, it just means that basically this only applies to the number like this one and that one basically. So just for anyone who doesn't know, so it's literally not like when you get richer, they're gonna tax you like at 35% on all the money you make. It gets to a point where if you make enough money, the extra money on top, you'll get charged that much.
tax rates vary from 10 to 37% based on your income in
Hmm.
2021. Therefore, in theory, the more you earn, the
Yep.
more taxes you would pay. So then if that's the case, then you're probably wondering, what's the big deal here? Well, first of all, there are different types of income.
Yep.
Some of those types of income pay lower taxes than what you just saw. For example, portfolio income,
Yep.
like money you earn from stocks or bonds, can be taxed at long-term capital gains tax rates, which currently vary from 0 to 20%. So
Yep.
some wealthy individuals can get around those higher tax rates by paying themselves in some form of stocks instead of
Like Elon Musk. But yeah, this one's a very genius way because you're not earning a salary. You're literally not earning a salary. So I know like a bunch of people will be like, "Oh, it's unfair. Oh, it's evil. Oh, it's blah." But like anyone can join the stock market. It's literally just called Robinhood, Acorns, Webull. Anyone can join the stock market at this point. The thing is, some people just have a lot of money in it, which is why which is why like their net worth goes from here randomly to skyrocketing up, like like randomly.
ordinary income. For example, Mark Zuckerberg is one of the richest
Yep.
people in the world, but only pays himself $1 in wages from
Nice.
his corporation.
Damn. I wonder if he has to file taxes on that $1.
But he also owns Facebook stock, which has
Yep.
increased by like 900% since they IPO'd. And because he owns the stock, he can sell them as he wishes at
Yep.
lower capital gains tax rates. And
Yep.
we've seen similar stories like this many times with billionaires like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and even Donald Trump. I mean, just look
Yep.
at the effective tax rates of some of these individuals, which is what they pay in relation to their income.
Yep. And the whole thing is that if you can game the system, I'm not going to be mad at you for gaming the system. It's fully legal, it's fully made there, and let's be honest. The majority of politicians use every single loophole they have in order to pay less taxes, and the difference is who is lying to you versus who is telling you the truth. I'm betting all of them, every one of them use every tax loophole in the tax system because they're the ones implementing these bills in the first place that change every little thing about the tax code. So they know for a fact, what's bullshit, what's not bullshit, and what they can get away with.
According to ProPublica, Warren Buffett's effective tax rate
Yep.
is just 0.10%. Bezos is 0.98%, Bloomberg 1.3%, and
Damn.
Elon Musk 3.27%.
Goddamn, Elon Musk, you gotta get that shit lower. You're the richest man in the world, and you can't get below 0.10%. Come on, man. You gotta bring those numbers down, Elon.
Stories like this make it very easy for people to say the rich need to pay more in taxes, right? Well, before we get too excited here, let's go ahead and take a look at the hard facts. So here is a table summarizing federal income tax data by the Tax Foundation. Now, I want to highlight two rows here. First, the average tax rate. According to
God.
IRS data, the top 1%
Yep.
has the highest effective tax rate, coming in at 25.4%,
Yep.
which gradually falls as you move down in income levels, where you can see here that the bottom 50% of taxpayers pay an effective tax rate of just 3.4%. Secondly,
Damn, I knew that for a fact. Yeah. I believe it was like 93% of all taxes are literally only paid by, I think it was either the top 10 or the top 20% of earners.
let's highlight the share of total income taxes paid. The top
Yeah, here it is. Total. So 3.4, 50%, 15, 20%, 16, 10%, 20, 5%, 22, top 1%, 25. So yeah.
1% of taxpayers pay over 40% of the total revenue the IRS collects. And the top
Damn.
10% of taxpayers pay over 71% of total
Damn.
taxes paid to the IRS. So really, about 8 million people contribute most of the tax revenue that the IRS collects, while over 70 million taxpayers contribute less than 3% of the total amount of taxes collected
Yep.
in our country. According
Yep, get it. Yep, 100% knew it. Because let's be honest, people don't like it. People don't understand the tax code, which is why it's easy to manipulate them into making them hate rich people. When in reality, like if you tax rich people too much, they can just move to another country. Like that's the biggest problem with that's the biggest problem people don't get, which is what if they leave? What do you do now? How do you get the money? You have to tax them enough for them not to leave. Not to leave. That's also a huge ass factor.
to the Tax Foundation, half of taxpayers pay 97% of federal income taxes that the government receives, even
Yep.
though their share of total income is much less than this amount. For example, the top 1% only earns 21% of the total income in the country, but
Yep.
pays 40% of the taxes in the country. So when you
Damn.
look at it from these lenses, it does appear that the wealthy do in fact pay their taxes. But what about these people, the billionaires that are paying almost nothing in income taxes? Well, it is true that they can escape certain income taxes
Yep.
in many ways. But I wouldn't call them the top 1% of Americans. They are more like the top 0.001% of
Yep. Oh, almost right. Anyone who's a millionaire most likely is in the 1%. Like anyone. Bernie Sanders, Pokimane, Hassan Piker, Moist Critical, Keanu Reeves. And anyone who basically has $1 million or more is guaranteed to be in the 1%. Just so you guys know. And there's a lot of I would call these guys the socialist supporters. Basically, their whole ideology is tax the people that make more money than me, and that's socialism. It's not I make too much money and I should be charged more. anyone who makes more money than me, just ignore that $6 million net worth right over there that you can search up on the internet easily. Anyone who makes more than me should be taxed at 100% taxes. That's basically what most people think of socialism. That every socialism supporter. They're just capitalists who There's just capitalists who use it as a way to virtue signal how good of a person they are.
Americans. Because they are so wealthy, they don't have to really earn their income and
Exactly.
pay ordinary tax rates, which ultimately limits their tax exposure. Here's an analysis by Vox. You will see here that the richest Americans
Yep.
pay a much smaller share of income taxes than 99.99% of the country. That's because their income is taxed at much lower tax rates. In addition, they are able to take advantage of some of the finest tax incentives. Like the government literally gives wealthy individuals tax credits to
Nice.
motivate their behavior. For example, Amazon received $2.2 billion in tax credits from the government simply by locating their offices in New York City, Virginia, and in other places. But
Yep. And a good reason for that is you get jobs out of it. That's a very big incentive, which is a job comes in, people can work, boom, now people have income, and now people can buy stuff and enjoy their lives. And that's because a big company came in. Because government can't make jobs effectively without like screwing over the taxpayers to an astronomical, amount.
also keep in mind that Amazon employs over 1 million people, which
Yep.
dramatically boosts the economy by providing much needed jobs to working class individuals. And that's
Yep.
just one example of a tax credit. There are many more examples of tax credits that the ultra wealthy receive by contributing to the economy at large. I'm sure Elon Musk is getting tax incentives for building electric cars, and
Yep.
Donald Trump is getting tax incentives for building real estate, and
Yep.
so on. I mean, just look at this clip from Donald Trump himself.
He didn't pay any federal
Ooh.
income tax. So
That makes
if
me
he's
smart.
paid zero,
I agree.
There's clearly no shame in his game for paying little to no taxes. And I don't know, maybe it's because
Wait, since he went too far, let me show you the full clip. Let me show you the full clip because that one was funny. Here it is. Yeah, here it is.
Did you use that $916 million loss to avoid paying personal federal income taxes?
Of course I do.
Yep.
Of course I do. And so do all of her donors, or most of her donors. I know many of her donors. Her donors took massive tax write-offs.
So have
a
you
lot
not
of
paid
my, excuse
personal
me,
federal
Anderson,
income taxes?
a lot
Wait.
of my write-off was depreciation and other things that Hillary, as a senator, allowed. And she'll always allow it because the people that give her all this money, they want it. That's why. See, I understand the tax code better than anybody that's ever run for president. Hillary Clinton, and it's extremely complex, Hillary Clinton has friends that want all of these provisions, including they want the carried interest provision, which is very important to Wall Street people, but they really want the carried interest provision, which I believe Hillary's leaving. It's very interesting why she's leaving carried interest. But I will tell you that, number one, I pay tremendous numbers of taxes. I absolutely used it, and so did Warren Buffett, and so did George Soros, and so did many of the other people that Hillary is getting money from. Now, I won't mention their names because they're rich, but they're not famous, so we won't make them famous.
Can you say how many years you have avoided paying personal federal income taxes?
No, but I pay tax, and I pay federal tax, too. But I have a write-off. A lot of it's depreciation, which is a wonderful charge. I love depreciation. You know, she's given it to us. Hey, if she had a problem, for 30 years she's been doing this, Anderson. I say it all the time. She talks about health care. Why didn't she do something about it? She talks
Yep.
about taxes. Why didn't she do something about it? She doesn't do anything about anything other than talk. With her, it's all talk and no action.
In the past,
and again, Bernie Sanders, it's really bad judgment. She has made bad judgment not only on taxes, she's made bad judgments on Libya, on Syria, on Iraq.
Oh wait, let me tell you this. This one's gonna be unrelated. I'm pretty sure it was Libya, but after the whole Monica Lewinsky scandal, she didn't talk to Bill Clinton for like 6 months. until she was begging him to bomb Libya. And that's how they got back to dating each other. Yeah. Who knew all it took to get your wife who you cheated on to love you again after having like nine allegations of sleeping with multiple different women? All it took was bombing Libya. Yeah. Yeah, who goddamn knew? Yep. Goddamn Bill Clinton. But anyways, no, I'll continue.
I mean, her and Obama, whether you like it or not, the way they got out of Iraq, the vacuum they've left, that's why ISIS formed in the first place. They started from that little area, and now they're in 32 different nations, Hillary. Congratulations. Great job.
Hey,
Yep.
CNBC.
But the whole shtick of it is politicians will tell you the rich need to be taxed more. But what they never tell you is we're the ones who implemented all the tax deductions, tax credits, and every way to avoid paying taxes that the rich have in the first place. Because it doesn't look good to like people who don't understand. If you like, that's the thing. You treat your voters like idiots, well, guess what? You're going to get a bunch of idiots who believe in you. What I like about Trump's handling of it was he said, "Yes, I do." And I'm just going to tell you straight up, if I was a millionaire, I would take advantage of taxes. Like, I know there's some people that think they're like the ultimate iota of being a good person is paying as much taxes as possible. Like, let's be honest. Nobody likes paying taxes. Absolutely nobody likes paying taxes. Everyone hates taxes. The thing is, they want to add this exclusive bracket specifically for higher earning people. So they're holding them up to a higher standard, basically saying you must enjoy paying taxes because we want that money to go to us. Like, no one enjoys it, no one will, and if I got rich enough, like multiple millions, I would take advantage of the tax code. And I'll say it with absolutely zero shame.
Because he is legally following the tax incentives that are written in the tax law. But look, the wealthy is not alone here. According to CNBC, 61% of all Americans paid no income taxes at all in 2020 after accounting for tax deductions and tax credits that they received. This includes more than 100 million households, many of whom who receive stimulus checks and very generous tax credits like the child tax credit, for example. So in consideration of all of these factors, it is clear that the tax system is progressive in the fact that the wealthiest Americans typically pay the most taxes unless you're in the top 0.001% of people. However, Biden's new tax plan will increase the tax rates on a much larger pool of people who are already shouldering most of the tax burden. And if you want to learn more about those taxes...
Yeah, this one's old. This one's a little older, so yeah, Biden was president at the time. But yeah, the whole shtick is basically a fair share, pay taxes, but then, let's be honest, like, the poorest people get the most amount of tax incentives. They get, the most amount of, the most amount of help in terms of taxes, credits, welfare, all that stuff. EBT, welfare, Section 8 housing, like all this stuff, they get helped through people paying taxes. So then they're already getting more than they pay in, usually. And then as you get higher and higher, the middle class has a very bad position where they're too rich to be able to get a lot of these like things that are supposed to help people when they don't have money and help them climb up or help, incentivize them for help, like food stamps and all that stuff. But they're also too poor to be rich enough to take advantage of tax loopholes. So then they have this other very bad side effect where they don't get either side of the good. They don't get either side of the good part. And that's usually middle class. But then the richer you get, usually it's like you pay more and more taxes unless you invest in the stock market and do a bunch of like these tax code things that let you get, let you pay as little as possible. But yeah, as I said, I would do it without shame as a multimillionaire if I ever get to that point, using the tax credit to benefit myself, because everybody knows, nobody likes paying taxes. And if they tell you they do, they're a goddamn fucking liar. Goddamn fucking liar. The only people that I would say might like it would be poor, because usually they get more than they put in. But yeah.